My name is Douglas Klapec. My title now is Chief of the Arson and Explosives Number 1 Section at the ATF Laboratory in Beltsville, Maryland. At 9/11, I was a forensic chemist at the Rockville Laboratory and was assigned to the NRT at the time. Well, we take the evidence from an NRT, whether it's a fire scene or an explosive scene, and we process it in the laboratory. September 11th it had been a really hot summer, and I remember that morning. It was very cool, crisp. That summer had finally broken, and I came into work about the same time, 7:30, as I normally do. And around when the first plane hit, we heard reports that a plane had hit the World Trade Center, and that was a small plane. But somebody had flipped on a small TV in the one of the rooms. But we didn't have big screen TVs everywhere. And so we started watching, and some people saw the second plane hit, but once that hit, it was the sinking feeling that we're under attack. Since we were under attack, and we were kind of an unsecured facility, we didn't have gates or fencing even around our laboratory. I got with one of the agents and said, let's make sure that there's some cars parked out at the driveway, at least so somebody can't just come flying into our facility. Not that we were a primary target, obviously, but nobody had any idea what was going on. So that was the first thing we kind of did. And then I got back into the laboratory and watched TV, and we watched the first tower collapse and then the second tower. And then sometime later on, we heard that the Pentagon had been hit as well. And since we were in Rockville, Maryland, near the Pentagon, we could mobilize for the NRT, and we heard that the NRT was mobilizing. So the NRT was staged to go. I think later on 2 NRT teams were called to the scene. I just got in my car the next morning and drove to the Pentagon and parked it right on whatever that main highway is that the plane flew over. It was bizarre because there was no traffic on the roads, no traffic on that particular street was completely closed off. So I just parked the car and went and found our truck and went to the team later and say, okay, what are we doing? Obviously, the plane caused tremendous structural damage and fires. So that was something that we had experience with, and we went to the farthest penetration of the plane, which I believe is what we call the punch out at Ring C. I believe that's where it was. And so I had gone to this last room and had made a good-sized hole, but then it spilled into the alleyway between the rings and hadn't really penetrated the next inner ring. So that room was kind of our first focus to start seeing what we can get as far as parts of the plane, recovery of personal effects, and recovery of human remains. But we're trying to process that room.